Thank you for your time, Tom. Since you have worked so many times with Mr. Steven Spielberg, I imagine you already know by heart what he will ask you to do in every new movie. That happened in the post?
Well, well, yes and no. I think Steve and I have worked well enough that we can almost kind of communicate through nods and cryptic messages almost. He is, for me, he's wonderful for me because he will come up and ask me to completely reverse the speed of what I'm doing, or find or sense something else that is in the scene that I can't imagine. And as soon as he's 6 or 7 words into the description, I know exactly what he's going for. And there is a huge, very valuable amount of trust that goes on between us, simply because we've been through, I think, every permutation of what can go wrong in the course of trying to find a scene. And I also know that he relies on his cast to come in and provide him something that he hasn't seen before. You think that Steven is going to be this auteur that is going to tell you specifically exactly what he wants, and that comes along only in very specific cinematic shots, literally, the construct of the movie he makes. All the rest of the time, he's saying, please give me something to work with here. And that's not just for me, that's for everybody who's on the set.
And what do you know about Ben Bradlee before you make this movie?
Well, I met him. I met Ben Bradlee in the 90s. He was Ben Bradlee then. His legend was already in place. And meeting him and having meals with him and a cocktail or two and just chatting with him, when I continued on and read his memoir called The Good Life and saw all of the videos, all of the interviews and all the studies that are available to him, he was the same exact man. His voice was the same. He did not pontificate. He did not view himself as anything special other than a man who really loved his job. So it was wonderful to realize that he was as genuine a person on film and on a book, in interviews and on a book, as he was when I was just sitting around talking to him.
This movie talks about a great American story about the freedom of press and against the government. What do you think the meaning about the meaning of this movie outside the United States at this moment?
That's going to be interesting because we might be dealing with concepts that people don't quite understand. Our First Amendment in our Constitution guarantees an awful lot of freedoms that are doled out, I think, at different portions around the rest of the world. The First Amendment guarantees us a freedom of religion. We do not have to worship only one God, one way, or God at all. We have a freedom of assembly, we have a freedom of speech, and we do have a freedom of the press. That means that no one can shut down any publication, no one can remove anybody's right to air their reportage or their version of what the truth is or their opinions. And in our film, in the post, that kind of conceit, that kind of idea is under attack by literally our government. And I think there's an awful lot of governments out there where maybe this movie will play in which the press does not enjoy that same sort of responsibility, that is not the same sort of pillar of the state as it is in the United States.